What's up, everybody? floopydonkey back with your slider content, and I've been getting a lot of questions from you guys asking if I would make some current gen CPU versus CPU sliders. You can see some of the gameplay here now of some really good realistic gameplay from a few of the games that I've played, and this is actually just from 2 games. And you can see right here a missed field goal, which is really big in CPU. Usually field goals are absolutely automatic, and there's a lot of good things here from quarterbacks missing wide open touchdown passes right there. Sam Darnold, who's a very below average quarterback, to pressure being brought on. One of the big things about CPU versus CPU is that the quarterback will continuously hold on the ball and take sacks like you saw previously, but when they get rushed, they will make incomplete passes. I'm very proud of that fact. These games do not have a high scoring game like I had made previously, where games were getting 40, 50 points. A lot of these games are defensive struggles, but the games do get up within 20 and 30 points a game. This was one of those games where it ended up being a defensive struggle with really 2 good defenses, with the Panthers finishing the game out 17-0. But that is something that happens in the NFL all the time. You can see on Thursday Night Football, the Patriots held the Falcons to 0 points. Here's another example with Cam Newton from the Panthers going up against the Miami Dolphins with some incomplete passes. Again, he is not the most accurate quarterback in Madden, and we got Tua as well. So these are good examples of, just average quarterbacks who are not going to light up your team, and you're going to actually see a big difference between the bottom tier quarterbacks and the great ones. Good running there by Christian McCaffrey. I think here we've got another incomplete pass. One of the issues that I was having is that the quarterback wasn't challenging the defense down the field, and you just saw in that previous video that was happening as well. I think here is a interception by Tua, who he overthrows his defender right to Shaq Thompson, and that is picked off. And I think another one here is actually another incomplete pass by Cam Newton. Wide open ball there, and that was just incomplete. But you see, this game ended up being 16-23. Dolphins won the game. There weren't a lot of sacks in this game, which is something that I was really trying to work on for you guys, because in the previous slider video, there were too many sacks. The quarterback was holding on to the ball, not getting rid of it. But here the quarterback is holding on until he feels pressure, and then they'll get rid of it. A lot of times the ball will be inaccurate. But the biggest thing that I want to tell you guys is make sure before you make any adjustments to these sliders that you play an entire season. Don't let one game dictate that the sliders aren't working or that you need to make adjustments, because I have played games where the quarterback completed 80% of their passes, they made every field goal, and there was a high sack total. And then I would turn around and play the next few games, there'd be no sacks. Quarterbacks have a very tough time completing passes. So just take one game for what it's worth. Don't try to make too many adjustments. And I think you're really going to like these. Again, this is my favorite way of playing Madden currently. And you're really not even playing, you're watching. And it kind of bridges the gap between those Sunday games all the way till the next Sunday during the week. I can just turn these on, watch some games. Kind of makes me feel like I'm actually watching a real NFL game. But without further ado, let's check out these sliders. All right, first up, we've got league settings. Now, remember, this is just for current gen only. So that means PlayStation 4, PC, or Xbox One. If you got next gen consoles, PS5, Xbox X, S, this will not work. I haven't even tried them. I mean, you could try. Let me know down in the comments if you want to use those. But next week, I will be putting out CPU versus CPU sliders for next gen as well. So make sure, if you haven't subbed to the channel already, make sure you do that, or at least like the video and let the algorithm know that you're interested in the channel, and it'll push out content that way as well. But first off, we're using All Pro. Before I was using All Madden, but I switched and tried up All Pro this time just on a hunch. And I really like this. I am actually playing all my CPU versus CPU with this setting on All Pro and on current gen. I'm not even doing it on next gen because I really like how these are going. I have simulation for the game style. Now, the only other thing that you need to know is please turn off progressive fatigue, or you'll have issues with your players not subbing back in. And it's just not worth having progressive fatigue on at all. In my experience, I still have practice injury on, so we still go through practice, but that's your call. Again, players get hurt all the time in practice. I like to have that in there just as kind of a realism type of thing in the game. The only other thing that we got here is quarter length. I still keep at 12 minutes. Minimum player clock time is at 20 seconds. And then everything else I use from manual. So I adjust all of the stuff in between games and, signing players, all that good stuff, which I know that you will do as well. I have ball hog turned off, seat seeker off, and keep switch assist to keep individual, but really you're not going to have to worry about that too much because you're not playing the game. And another thing that I did different for the player and CPU skills is that I kept all of them the same. I just tried this just to see how it would do. I don't really think that player skill sliders actually matter at all for CPU versus CPU because you're not controlling a team. But I did it anyways just to see if I noticed a big difference, and I didn't. But you can do it if you want to. These are exactly the same. Player skill are exactly the same as CPU. So I'm just going to go through CPU first. Quarterback accuracy at 6. Pass blocking at 100. That helped out a lot with quarterbacks continuously getting sacked. Wide receiver catching, I moved that down to 44 so that we see some drop balls, especially in congested catches or contested catches. I mean, you're going to see the wide receiver drop the ball sometimes. That actually helps out with the quarterback completion percentage as well. Run blocking, we moved up to 90 so that you can get a lot of big open runs from time to time when watching the game. Fumbles is moved down to 44. You might get, I averaged about a half a fumble every game. Pass defense reaction time, I moved up to, or moved down just 1 to 49. I thought that was in a really good spot. I have coverage really, really low in interceptions, but with the defense pass reaction time, the defense is going to react very quickly to a ball so that it's either broken up or swatted away or intercepted. And the wide receiver is going to have a really tough time trying to get away and break a big gain unless they're really quick. But I do have pass coverage turned down so that it allows the CPU to make throws, see players open, challenge the defenders down the field. And then we've got tackling at 55. Interceptions moved down to 13 because, again, I think interceptions are way too high in Madden. Most of the time, defensive backs, linebackers, they drop the ball when they have a chance to intercept the ball. I mean, they only intercept the ball 1 out of every 3 times they put their paws on it. So just for reference there. Special teams, we've moved field goal power up to 55, field goal accuracy to 47. You saw in the highlight, there were missed field goals. And when I went through an entire season, my kicking percentage was at 83 repeating percent of total kicking percentage throughout my team's field goal percentage. The NFL average from last year was 83.5. So that is spot on. I mean, I'm off just by 0.5, so you can't ask better than that. Actually, I'm off by 0.02, but whatever. Punt power, we moved up. Punt accuracy, I moved down again. And then kickoff power, I moved up to help out with kickoffs and making sure they end up being touchbacks. Injuries are at 25. Fatigue got bumped up to 60, and minimum player speed thresholds at 52. Now, all of the penalties I left the same except for roughing the passer. For whatever reason, when I left roughing the passer at 50, it was happening a whole lot. So I bumped it down to 44. You're not really going to see a lot of penalties in Madden 22. Unfortunately, developers, I've said this countless times, have came out saying that they just don't want penalties in the game because they feel like it hurts the flow of the game and the user experience. To me, I want to see them because, again, I want a realistic gameplay. But to each his own, it really doesn't matter. There's no way we can really make penalties quote-unquote realistic in Madden 22 because they're scripted to not happen. So guys, I hope you enjoyed. If you want XP sliders, make sure to check out the channel. I have XP sliders in the channel already. You can check those out. Those work great in my experience, and I think everybody else liked them a lot as well. And remember, if you want custom sliders made for you, I've had plenty of people already ask me about this service that I'm offering. You can join the channel, click the join button beside the subscribe button on the homepage of my channel. If you become a starter level member, I will create custom sliders for you. One of the things, everybody wants the same type of gameplay, but the problem is everybody plays the game differently. So sliders are not a one size fits all, and I want to make sure I accommodate every single person. And really the only way I can do that is by creating custom slider sets. So if you support me in the channel, I'll be able to continue to make content, and I'll make content specifically for you and your game style. But I hope these work for everybody. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. If you think I should change anything, let me know down in the comments. And I appreciate everyone for the support. I'll catch everybody later.